Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Show with me, Kim Britz, leading the charge with insights, information, and ultimately effective results. Joining me in today's leadership and coaching segment, we have a motivational speaker who's all the way from the United States, Florida. She's traveling around at the moment, but she's a speaker who is a registered nurse and certified life coach. She's passionate about helping mission-driven entrepreneurs to build resilience and keep going to be able to start impacting the world through their businesses. Welcome to the show, Mary Marco. How are you doing, Mary?
Hey, thank you so much. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for being with us today. So, Mary, don't you want to kick it off with just a bit of you and tell us about you and what it is we're going to chat about today?
Cool. Like you said, I'm a motivational speaker, and I am passionate about helping entrepreneurs because it's a hard and lonely journey, and it really takes a lot of resilience, and that is exactly what I focus on. I went through a lot in my life. I suffered a lot. I even got to the point of attempting suicide many times, and a speaker actually saved me, and I want to inspire and impact and save others. And part of that really process that helped me get out of the darkness was going after a meaningful mission. So I really love helping others to step into actualizing their meaningful business dream. And it took me 3.5 years to serve my first paying client. So I know about continuing on and getting in your own way and needing to keep going. And I know how hard it could be. And I love to help people just get honest with themselves and to figure out what's going on, to help themselves keep going, to empower themselves. And I've lived it and I've helped others with it, and it just lights me up. I love this work. And so, yeah, that's what I'm all about.
So, I mean, is it something that we can talk about just to touch on? I mean, we don't need to go into detail about it, but, like wanting to commit suicide and sort of several times, as you said, that's such a big concern for so many people out there, especially people who are struggling and going through tough times. I remember, when I was 26 years old, one of my psychologists said to me, they don't know what to do with me because they coined me as clinically depressed. And that just freaked my brain out. I was like, oh, well, okay, I cannot be, I can't go through this. And I really took measures to change my life. Can you sort of unpack that a little bit for us and sort of what was that turnaround? You had a motivational speaker that helped you change that positioning?
Yeah, Tony Robbins. So at first I was giving him all the credit. So I would say that I went to therapy for years. And I think that got me to a place where I was okay enough to be able to receive the tools that I got from the coaching. So I will preface with that. But powerful shifts, I didn't understand. One of the hugest things was my belief systems and my belief about myself and the world and things. And I would always suffer, and I'm worthless, and I'll never be enough no matter what. And there's something seriously wrong with me. And all these things about myself. It wasn't even a belief in my head, in my perception. I was positive it was true. So that speaker taught me that these are belief systems, they're identity beliefs. And it's not that they're true, even though you have all this evidence that they're true. That's just what the brain does, the confirmation bias. Whatever you believe, it finds evidence that it's true. So it just opened up my world, and then really focusing on, like I said, meaning and something that's beyond myself, and not being so absorbed in that. And then finding gratitude daily was a really powerful thing, because I thought I earned everything. There's nothing to be grateful for, blah, blah, blah. Now I know how crazy that is, and how, there's so many things to be grateful for. So finding meaning was really powerful. Shifting my belief systems was really, really huge. And then actively working on my mindset, just like books and seminars and coaching and regular therapy and support there, and questioning and challenging my negative beliefs that still come up, but they feel less and less true now that I know. Now that I know they're not true, but sometimes they feel true if something happens, if I fail at something. So then I remind myself consistently, like, wait, this is just old stuff coming up, but I know what's true now. So yeah, I'd say those are really powerful things that I just had no idea. It was just, I was so positive that I was so weak and I couldn't do anything. And um, yeah, but it was just all, it was beliefs. It was hugely powerful.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because many times we find ourselves stuck in many beliefs, and sometimes that, like you say, we're just looking for the confirmation of things. And when you start investigating and really reflecting on self, and what does that mean, and is this really true? There's wonderful ways to disable the belief, and really find holes in those beliefs that we sometimes negate and believe about ourselves. But I mean, speaking about resilience in your business, I know that that's one of the topics that you're really passionate about. So why resilience, and why entrepreneurship? Why those areas?
Because that 3.5 years, I found this thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been doing it for free. And it's like, I know it's called in my heart and I'm good at it. I'm helping people for free. I want to make this thing real. I want to make this dream happen. I want to be paid to do what I love. And I had this calling and I just felt like I couldn't do it. I felt like I tried everything. I was like hiring coaches and I was working on just studying all the books and the freebies and then the paid seminars, and I was just implementing. I thought I was showing up consistently and it was not happening for me. And I started to think that there was something wrong with me. And then all that old stuff came up like, oh, yeah, maybe I'm worthless and this is called in my heart and I can't even do it. And I want to save entrepreneurs from that pain. I don't want them to feel like there's something wrong with them. I don't want them to feel like they just can't do this thing that they love. And then the beautiful ripple effects. And then, like I said, with the meaning, finding meaning and helping others and outside myself and making impact, solving problems is what business is really all about. So if you help an entrepreneur, the ripple effects of them helping other people, it's a beautiful thing. And then my own struggles with that, I get it and I know it. And I know all the ways under the sun that you could get in your own way, and then some, I feel like. So really helping people that were past me is, it really lights me up, and especially people who really have a mission on their heart, and help them to find meaning and fulfillment in doing what they love and solving problems and then helping others. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So, I mean, one of the things that you shared with me is a bit of a process that you like working with people going through. Do you want to unpack that for us and sort of give us something to take away from today's conversation? Because I think, as you say, I've had my business for in January it will be 10 years.
Oh, okay.
I remember doing marketing on a free platform where you can do free sort of marketing for just anything that people are selling. And my very first advert went out on a free platform just to say, okay, cool guys, this is something I'm putting together and something I want to share out there. And strangely enough, my very first client was an executive from one of the big banks in South Africa. And I was like, when I first saw that and I realized I was having such an impact on going through the coaching process, and it was training and information I designed. And then 3 weeks later, she had this wonderful turnaround, own way of seeing her own life. And I was going, wow, I did that with free advertising. So, I know that whole resilience, passion that you're talking about. But I mean, through this process that you want to take us, tell us more about that and why this process. Tell us.
So I shared a few with you. Are you talking about building the beliefs and deciding that one?
Yeah. So the acronym. I know that you share an acronym.
Okay. Yeah. Acted. So I compiled it from what I learned from Tony Robbins and one of my past coaches that really helped me, Kim Argetsinger, and then mixed with my own journey stuff along the way, my insights and everything. So I feel it really helps to build your belief and then go beyond that to decide you're going to do this because you're going to go until. And I think that when I got to that point, my coach helped me get to that point. It was such a game changer. I've heard it kind of in the past, like, oh, just make a decision and you'll do it. But it didn't really hit, and I didn't have the foundation of belief. So it didn't, I don't think it didn't really work. That is like, I still like drowning in doubts. Like you believe and you build up and you feel good about, and then something happens. No, I can't do this. And there's something wrong with me and blah, blah, blah. So I feel like really helping you get, and yourself and others, helping them with building belief and then deciding. So it's a step-by-step process that I put together and that I really love. So it's ACTED, ACTED, and A is for awareness. And with awareness, usually it is a question that always can kind of you can tap into your unconscious and to make sure that you can really get some insight into your own, what's going on in your own brain and everything. So I have people ask, what makes me think I can't do this? And sometimes, you want to say, oh, nothing, like I got this, but you're trying to gain awareness around what's really going on in there. So you could first focus on the negative so you can actually gain awareness around it. So you actually answer that honestly and just dump out what's going on and like, oh, I failed tests in high school and my dad told me this and, I failed at this part and, I failed in the past. So why can I do it now? All this stuff, you just kind of dump it out of your brain and you really gain awareness around that. And then C is call bull on your doubts. So all that stuff you wrote around possible reasons or evidence or proof that you can't do this, you rip that apart. And it's like, well, okay, just because I failed in the past doesn't mean that I can fail in the future. I'm learning. And you really stack up ways to like really cut holes in that. Like you said, I love how you were saying that. That's exactly how I feel. You cut holes in the evidence that you have that actually shows that it doesn't mean that you can't do it just because these things are true, or maybe some of them are just not true. So that's a really powerful thing. And then the next step is T. So it's time to believe. You write in your own words a belief like I can absolutely make money in my business, however you want to say it, that feels good to you. And then E is evidence. So this is where you really pack on the proof that you can do this. So like other people that went through the traumas that you went through maybe, or all these things that maybe I can't do it, like other people who did bad in school, but they still built a thriving business like you want to. My example's like Oprah, she's impacted millions and she had child abuse worse than mine. So people that really help to prove like, oh, well, they did it, why not me? And they have a similar or worse situation than I had. So that's one powerful thing for evidence to stack up. And then past hard things that you went through or that you survived through or that you succeeded at, like, oh, I became a nurse and that was hard. Or I survived my mom's death and living with my dad. And so like, oh, I've gotten through hard things before, so I can do it again. So really powerful things there. And then all past successes you can think of. So just stacking on the successes. I learned to tie my shoes. I learned to use a smartphone. I learned to use a computer. I passed a hard class, like anything, just dumping in your brain. Like you've had success before. You can find a way to have success at this new thing now too. Really powerful. And then it goes to D, decide. And once you have all this evidence and you broke apart the BS that is in the way of you believing, then you make a decision. You can and you will, because you won't stop until you do. And that's the process. And I think when you move through the process, it really helps to strengthen the beliefs and then get to a point where you can actually make that decision. And so it could stick and you could really commit to it. So
I love that. So, and I think that's such a practical approach because, I think it says it in the word, acted on your, on your success and what it is you want to be doing out there. So A is for awareness, calling out the bull, time to believe, evidence, and decide what you want to do, right? And then one of the things that you mentioned with some of the info you shared with us is, fears. And I want you to sort of as well, because, very often we don't act and do the things we need to do. And, from a resilient perspective, I think fear becomes one of our biggest debilitators. And, fear in itself can sometimes be completely irrational, illogical, and, your brain just is doing things that's not even real or even true. But I mean, speak to us from that perspective. What was really a sort of a fear that you started recognizing, and things that you overcome, and things that you actually coach on today?
I feel like it's a easier question to what fear haven't I worked on. But yeah, it was so much. It was the fear of selling. That was a big thing. And unconsciously, I discovered that I thought it was dishonoring my mom who passed if I sold, because she thought money was the root of all evil. And then if I can technically be doing this thing for free, I should be, blah, blah, blah. So I had to really call bull on that stuff. And the real thing, the fear or the deepest pain there was like, oh, she wouldn't love me. And then I'm a terrible person and I'm not lovable. So owning, like, even if we have a difference of opinion on like money and success and whatever, doesn't mean I won't be loved. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person if I'm not the same as her. So it's like getting into the deeper meaning and the pain and what's really going on in the fears helped me like, oh, it's okay to make money. It's okay to make a sale. And so many, and then imposter syndrome, like, oh, if people knew how not enough I was and how inexperienced I was, they never want to hire me. And I had this huge hang up, and I was like, I'm not okay with where I'm at. And I haven't lied to people about it, but I haven't told people the experience I have, all this turmoil going on. And I was like, you know what, let me just tell people exactly where I'm at. I've helped people for free, but not yet had a paying client, and blah, blah, blah. And then once I did that, I was like, less than a week, and I served my first paying client. So it's like, it's amazing how it can stop you. And I think it's really what the fears mean. But yeah, fear of success. I thought, since my sisters don't like Tony Robbins and they think that maybe he's like preying on vulnerable people, and I have a similar style and a similar mission and all that, so they're gonna hate me and not love me. And then I was like, that's not even true. Like, they never would. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of success, they would still love me. And I'm, again, still a lovable person, still, okay as a person. Fear of the unknown. It's gonna die. I grew up with my father threatening to break my spine and all this stuff, and I thought, like, I didn't know that I was safe. So uncertainty and changes, and like, I could die, and then blah blah blah. So like that, those basic, like, deeper meaning stuff, like I'm unlovable, I'm not worthy, I could die, that the brain's screaming out, like kind of calling BS on those on a consistent basis, like checking yourself, like, okay, am I safe? And does this mean what I think it means? I fear it means. It kind of like lessens the fears. And that's also what I help people like get clear on what their fears are, that they are afraid and they are actually doing busy work, or they are making excuses. And then what's really going on, and what does it really mean, and what's true. And then it's not as scary as we're making it out to be in our heads. Like, it's not going to kill us to show up. Even if we screw up royally, it's going to be fine, So that's really been helpful for me to get past it, because I was like so many fears where like I was not okay. I had this like thought in my head, it's not okay to do this. So I had to really work through that to get myself moving, and other people too. I helped. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, wait, sorry, there we go. Yeah, what I was saying is what's interesting about fear is, people say, and I've heard this so often when people refer to the fear of success. And very often we take that as a misguided sort of approach to, oh, wow, yeah, I'll be scared when I'm successful. And that's not what's scary. What's scary is, will people believe me? Will people trust what I have to say? Will people even want to listen? Right? So that fear, that is the fear of the success, right? And you kind of go, and only until you're on that side of the success do you realize that's the point. The point is that you are absolutely sharing and convicting from your perspective, from your reference point, from your person, from your understanding, from your knowledge, from your experience. That's the point. That's the point of success, right? And
Mm.
it's not about the fear of speaking. It's not about the fear of someone listening. It's about the fear of you just putting yourself out there and kind of go, yeah, I can do this. I have a voice, I have an opinion, and I have knowledge that you don't have.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, one of the things that before we end today's conversation around resilience and especially tapping into it, there's something you mentioned that's having a deeper way beyond yourself. Don't you want to
Yeah.
just because I think that's really an interesting kind of thinking process.
Yeah, a deeper why. I know I would have given up way before I got to the 3.5 year mark, if I didn't have a deeper reason to keep going beyond myself. Like if you, I personally anyway, maybe some people, yeah, but for me and I know people that I've worked with, having something that helps you keep going that's not just because I want to or because it's cool or like, oh, it's like kind of an idea I had, so why don't I feel like to keep you going for the long haul through the failures, through the showing up consistently and you're not seeing results yet and the patience and the this and that and all that it takes, having something that you're really calls on your heart and your emotions, and when you think about it, it gives you an emotional response, and you could call on it and remind yourself of it when things are hard, when you have like you fall flat on your face, and when like all the evidence shows that this thing is going to crash and burn, and there's no way out of this challenge or this whatever's happening, or you just had a horrible experience, maybe on a stage, like you just bombed a talk and like this is called on your heart and you screwed it up, or a client asked for a refund, or so, oh, like, like what am I doing? I need to just throw it down. Um, so having something that just keeps you going, it's kind of like even though I need to stop, I can't stop. Even though I feel like I can't do this, I have to do this. Because it's not just about me, it's beyond me. So I think there's just such a powerful force that it's beyond yourself, to really tap into that and not just so surface level, oh, because I want to, or you're like, oh, just because my kids, or or whatever it is. I don't have kids, but a lot of people say that. Well, what about that? Like, go deeper. Oh, well, you suffered as a kid and you thought you couldn't live out your dreams. You want to make sure that your kids see that you're living out your dreams. And mine's like, I suffered and struggled so much, I almost committed suicide. I don't want anyone to experience anywhere near the kind of suffering that I had. And I want them to know the fulfillment that comes when you're able to start actualizing your dream and making an impact and getting paid to do what you love. So something that hits you emotionally, I think there's a really powerful pulling force to help you keep going even when you feel like you can't. So that's one of the most powerful things I think that really helped me keep going. That can be like translated outside of business as well. Like, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that, and having a deeper why. So yeah, it's because at the end of the day, if you don't know why, no one's going to do it for you. So like, have the challenging, difficult conversation with yourself and ask why. If you could leave the listeners today, anyone listening, any entrepreneurs, any startups out there who really want to throw in the towel and just kind of go, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. What would be the 3 pieces of advice that you would want people to take away from today's conversation?
Mm. Um, I would say definitely, don't make assumptions. Like you have maybe all this evidence that it's time to give up, but like who says, like it's taking longer than it should? Well, how do you know how it should? And you think it's like harder for you than everybody else. How do you know that? Like you think it's like it should be easier and it should be faster, and I mean, I thought all of this and I was like, and I'm crazy and no one's like me and blah blah blah. It's a lonely process and it could feel that way. So don't make assumptions and don't assume that you're doing it wrong because it's hard. It is hard. So just knowing that and being okay with that, and knowing that there's nothing wrong with you, and knowing that you're stronger than you think, and tapping into your resourcefulness. Like you think you can't do it, you think you're not strong enough, you think you can't handle all the ups and downs of it. Own that that's just not true. It just feels true in the moment, in a hard moment. So it's just tap into that knowingness, because on some level, it's maybe faint right now because you're going through it and you're like, it's really time to give up. Don't. And then remember why you're doing this. Like, there's a reason you started this. There's an impact you want to make. There's a problem that you want to solve. There's someone that you want to inspire around you or through your product or service, or both. So just remember that when it's hard and when you think that you can't, remember it's worth it, and it's not just about you, and no one can help anyone the way you can with your brand of, like Kevin was saying, about your perspective on the world and your vulnerability, your experience. There's nothing like it. So even if you also think that, oh, everyone else is doing it, or how am I any different or special, whatever, you are, and you can do this, and please keep going.
Amazing. I love that. She's a motivational speaker, a registered nurse, a certified life coach, and she's passionate about helping people with mission-driven entrepreneurs to build resilience and keep going, to able to start impacting the world through their own businesses. That's Mary Markham. Mary, if we want to get hold of you, where's the quickest way we can do that?
Either Facebook or Instagram. You can direct message me. My Facebook is Mary E. Marco, EMMARCO, and Mary E. Speaks on Instagram. Yeah.
Fantastic. And those links will be available in the description box below. Mary, thank you so much for joining us. And please don't forget to like and share, guys. It's a lunchtime series every Wednesday and Thursday. From myself and Mary today, thank you so much, Mary. Have a fantastic week, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and you're welcome. Bye. Take care.